To discuss this is Elijah Mhlanga, the Chief Director, Media Liaison, National and Provincial Communication at the Department of Basic Education in South Africa. Thank you very much for joining us on the news. The report seems controversial. It says households with internet access in South Africa have higher literacy level. How far true is this?
Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity. We appreciate. Well, the country as a whole is an unequal country. So it would be disingenuous to make a conclusion that seems to suggest that the education system is failing on its own, when in fact we come out of historical discrepancies that discriminated based on race, and people were banished to rural areas which were homelands, and the country is in the process of reintegration and balancing the historical damage that has been caused by apartheid. So we need to recognize that development has always favored people who were in the cities. So the department has been working with other government departments, talking to the telecoms companies to make sure that broadband connectivity is spread across the country. But we also have other challenges, such as the dynamics of the different provinces. We have 9 provinces here. Each one comes with its own historical issues, which are making things difficult for one to then say the whole country is equal. It's an unequal country. In fact, there's no country that can claim to have 100% coverage when it comes to broadband connectivity and availability of electricity, because all these things that we are talking about cannot be available without the reliable supply of power to families and, of course, to schools.
What can you tell us in specific terms is being done by the Department of Education to make sure every child has access to internet and devices to give them a good environment?
There's a lot. We have what we call our ICT strategy. The ICT strategy requires the department to work with the Department of Digital Technologies and Communication so that we work together with our private sector partners. We have started with our schools where our learners with special education needs go. We have 455 of those schools. We have instructed the private sector companies to connect all those schools, because our children living with disabilities need technology. They need assistive devices that can enable them to have a chance to obtain good quality education. We are doing that, but nationwide, we are working with the other government departments to make sure that all our schools are connected. So right now, as we speak, all our schools are connected to ICT for administration purposes. And of course, there is a number of schools that are able to connect for learning purposes. We also need to understand that in South Africa, we've got 25,000 schools in 9 provinces. And these schools are spread all over 75 districts. And we've got 14.3 million children. So it's a massive system. Most of these families come from impoverished families where unemployment remains a big challenge. So the state has a huge challenge in its hands to make sure that we provide for these children. So internet, yes, it's good, but we focus on basics. So what we do is to provide learners with meals. We feed 9.6 million children a day in South Africa through the National School Nutrition Program. And we transport over 1 million children a day from home to school and back. And we give them free textbooks. So those are the things that we are focusing on. The issue of ICT, yes, it's a national imperative, which we are also trying to address together with other government departments.
Okay, just before I let you go, there's something else that the report highlighted, that in Gauteng, learners were promised future paperless classrooms, which has not been rolled out. What can you tell us about that?
It's been rolled out. In fact, every week, the MEC of Education in Gauteng, Mr. Panyaza Lisufi, is unveiling a school which has state-of-the-art facilities. So it is being rolled out. The problem is the crime. If you can do a basic search, you will see that the equipment that is installed in schools gets stolen by people who break into the schools, take it to sell it in shops where people buy this cheap equipment. Some of it is being taken to other countries. We know this because we are tracking all these devices. We find some in other parts of the continent, others in other parts of the world, Asia and Americas, where people steal these things and they take it out of the country. So it's
that's quite unfortunate. Is there anything being done to try and get these equipments back? Because if it's being stolen, the purpose is being defeated, don't you think?
You are absolutely right. We work with the Border Management Agency and immigration to make sure that people who are leaving the country are searched. Where this equipment is traced from, we go there to try and retrieve it, but it will also be very expensive. So we work with law enforcement agencies to make sure that those that steal get arrested, but we rely on communities to isolate and identify these criminals so that we can jail them when we find them, because they're taking the country backwards. And that is delaying the development and progress that we want to see in terms of the provision of ICT equipment in our schools.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Elijah Mhlanga. He was speaking to us on the development of education in South Africa. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.